Hello, it's Claire from Imagine Design Create. All of these designs have actually been featured on the TV in various packs, but I wanted to show you how well they work together. So I shall be using our matte and layer cardstock, and I shall be stamping the nesting circles using the stamping platform. Now all of our designs can be used with either an acrylic block or the stamping platform, whichever you are happy with. We just want to get people stamping and enjoying using our products and enjoying stamping as well, and not to be frightened of creating something directly onto the page. So I shall pick up these stamps here, and I'm going to use the Nuvo Hybrid ink pad in the Metro Grey. I want the circles to blend into the background, so I've inked those and we can stamp those onto there. Now the perfect thing with the stamping platform, as you can see, that if you haven't stamped quite right, or you've got some areas missing, or you want a darker impression, then because you haven't moved either the stamps or the paper, you can go back in and you can get your perfect impression. It also means that you don't have to put too much pressure on when you're stamping, and this can be something that a lot of people would actually find quite useful. So I'm just going to move the stamps off there because I'll need to use the platform for something else later. Now what I want to do now, I want to create a coloured background and leave the internal section of these circles white. So I'm going to be using a masking fluid. Now I'm using the Nuvo one here. It's got a really fine applicator there, if you can see, which means you can actually apply direct to the page, and you can use a paintbrush to spread that round to the areas that you actually want to mask off. Now I don't need to cover the whole of this larger circle. You'll see why in a minute, but it does mean that you'll end up saving on product. There's no point covering or masking an area that doesn't really need to be masked. So you can see there that I've just sort of spread around to that area. Now this fine applicator is really useful, so you can actually place the product pretty much directly where you need it. Now I've found that applying a really thin layer is best. It comes away and doesn't damage the paper too much, and it also dries a lot quicker. Now make sure you put your paintbrush back into water after you've used the masking fluid, because it will ruin your paintbrush otherwise. Now I've already prepared one, and I've already tinted the background, as you can see here. Now how I've done this, I've used the Distress Oxide and the blending tool and just gone onto the paper and blended the ink. Now you can see, because of the where I've put the masking fluid already, it means I can actually take the blending tool right in between the circles and actually apply the colour there. While I still have the blue, I'm going to add just a little bit of texture into the background using the stencil and some of the blue ink still, just some of the ink that's remained on the blending tool, so we get a nice subtle circular pattern in the background, if you can see that there. And we shall add a little bit up here too. And this just takes away the plainness of the background, so I'll add a little bit there. Now I did want to create a two-tone effect, so what I'm going to use next is the Distress Oxide in the Fire Brick and another blending tool, just a tiny little amount of ink, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of border around the outside, and you can see just that adds just a subtle amount of colour. What I'll do with the rest of the blending ink here, and I'll take this really slowly and blend really gently, I want to add just like a halo of colour around the outside of where these circles are. So again, because I know the masking fluid is doing its job around there, I can just really gently just take the blending tool all the way around the outside and just add a tiny little amount of colour, just like so. Now this will become apparent as I remove the masking fluid in a second. The masking fluid will actually colour with the ink that you're using. Just to add some more depth to the background, I'm going to replace the stencil and just try and add some highlights to the circles that I've already added into the background using this stencil. You can see there that the circles are really coming to the fore, and you're really building like almost like a mixed media art journal type of feel with this page. Okay, so now that I've done that, we can actually start removing the masking fluid. All you need to do is just gently rub with your finger. Usually in circular motions I found is the easiest way to do this, and the masking fluid actually comes away like as a solid gum. So I'll just speed up the video a little bit while I finish this. So there we are. Now you can see all the masking fluid has been removed, and you can see that the circles have been left nice and clear, ready for me to stamp into. So I can bring the stamping platform back in again, secure the page into place, ready for me to place the dandelion stamps into position from the Never Stop Making Wishes set. Now I'm going to be using a number of the stamps from that set, so what is the best thing to do is actually to place all the stamps into position initially on your page. Get the composition right. This gives you the opportunity to play around and just place things so that it looks right and you've got everything where you want it to be. These small stamps are sticking to my hand. Okay, so there we are. Now the stamping platform can pick those up, and I'm going to go in and I shall ink these designs with the VersaFine black because I really want these to stand out. If we can come in, we can give that a press. Now you don't need to press too hard with this. If you open it up and you find that you want to have a better impression, perhaps we've just missed a tiny bit here, then we can just go back in with the ink and just redo that quite simply. There we are. So I can remove this from the platform, and you can see how the nesting circles frame that dandelion clock really well, and you can see now the benefit of having the white circles, the internal white of the circles with the blue on around the outside. Now to frame this, I'm going to use another piece of matte and layer card. I've used embellishment mousse. So to frame this piece, I've taken a slightly larger piece of matte and layer card. I'm using embellishment mousse, the Nouveau embellishment mousse. This one is the Pacific Teal, and already you can see that I've gone around the three sides to create a border. So I'm just taking a blending sponge and I can just finish off the last border there. That's all you need to do because you'll only having 1/2 mil showing on either side around the frame, so you don't need to waste your product by going into the centre. Now to pick up on the highlights that I've added onto this card, I shall also add some of the fresh copper embellishment mousse. And I'm just going to use my finger to take a bit from my finger, just smooth that onto the mat, and I'm just going to add a little bit here and there around the outside of the frame, and this will just pick up on the extra detail that I've added onto the stamped area. Now you don't need too much, just gives a little highlight just here and there. So just using some of the glue on the back, I'm just going to mat and layer that onto there. So you'll be able to see when this catches the light that the border actually gives a lovely contrast, and you can see how well the nesting circles work really well and frame the stamps from the Never Stop Making Wishes set. Hope you enjoyed what I've done for you today. If you'd like to re-watch or watch any more videos, please subscribe to our channel, Imagine Design Create. All of these sets are available to purchase and to view on the Hochanda website, hochanda.com, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.